Hello, this is Anne, and I am in Maine, which is in the northeastern part of the United States, spending a week or two with my daughter here. And I thought it would be fun to come down to the shore at high tide and and try to capture this film here. So we'll see how it goes. I don't think this will be very long, but I brought my computer down and I brought my little cup of tea down. This is from a teacup that I bought here up in Maine at a garage sale, at a yard sale. People have them here on the weekends. I'm having my little cup of tea from such a cup. Um, so this week, I wanted to. I'm leaning down. All right. This week, I wanted to show you a little bit about where I am for a couple of weeks here with my daughter. It's quite lovely on the coast of Maine, and we have a little camp, like a tent almost, and are enjoying very good weather. Anyway, let me begin by saying that in these recent weeks, we've been looking at a couple of issues that I think unite women around the world. One of these is our reproductive health, our access to the ability to control our fertility, reproductive health issues. And that, I think, is an issue that all women around the world are concerned about. In the United States, at the moment, the ability of women to have access to the means to control their fertility is being diminished, unfortunately. In many states, more and more laws are being passed, or regulations are being passed that limit women in their ability to actually get access to contraception, to termination of pregnancy if they wish that, and even to basic health care. But around the world, this is a challenge, and it is a challenge that all women share around the world. There are some issues in this class that may affect some women particularly more than others in certain countries. But reproductive health, the access to controlling fertility, is something that unites women around the world. Another topic that I believe unites women around the world is the topic that we've taken up this last week, and that is violence against women, sexual violence and domestic violence. Again, 1 out of 3 women worldwide will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and these statistics are quite good. They're based to a great extent on police and hospital admission reports, which means that they probably are underreporting these statistics. But violence against women, I think, is central, absolutely central to this course and to any discussion of women's health. And the reason I think this is that violence is a strategy that people use to maintain control. It's used at various levels, at international levels, bombing people, or at very domestic levels where children may be hit or women and others may be wounded in order for people to maintain control. And so I believe that violence against women is an issue that has to do with the paradigm in which we live. We consider ourselves different and diverse, and that's very interesting. But when we start giving values to one type of person over another, that's where we begin to get into trouble. If we think that young is better than old, or rich is better than poor, or black is inferior to white, or something like that, we find ourselves making these judgments and trying to maintain our places in the hierarchy. And in order to do that, people use violence as a basic strategy to maintain their position in the hierarchy or to improve their position. And so I come back to this in the writing and the interviews, that I think violence, because of this aspect of it that has to do with the way we see each other, the way we relate to each other, it's an extremely important issue for women's health. Almost nothing can happen if people are living in a household that is violent. Just as people living in war zones, and we'll be talking about that next week and having the materials available next week, talking about women in conflict and refugee circumstances. Um, the in such circumstances, development, really healthy development, cannot take place. It's really impossible in the middle of a war for people to gain appropriate education or have appropriate health care. Similarly, even in a household where violence proliferates, individual people, children, women, others, um, can't really develop, can't really access appropriate services and exercise their rights. So, again, I believe violence against women is a tremendously important issue, not talked about enough, although I believe it is becoming more visible and more a greater concern is being expressed about it. One of the things that I do think about violence against women, and particularly domestic violence, is that although we are recognizing the proliferation, the prevalence of this problem, we are not particularly imaginative about what it really takes to deal with it. It's so basic. We need to re examine the way we are, in fact, treating each other in this world. How are we treating each other? And we need, I think, to individually decide what kind of people we want to be and how we are treating our children or the people who may work for us or the people with whom we may interact often. How are we treating each other? Are we trying to maintain a society that is based on kindness and love and compassion? Well, that's another issue to take up and think about, no doubt. Um, Let me pause for a minute and take a sip of my tea. And move on to a few announcements. Some of you have been participating in the Talk About sessions where you can meet online and discuss these issues. Background for the Talk About sessions can be found in the discussion toolkits that offer you an agenda and various questions that you can use as background for your meetings with each other. And apparently these are going quite well. I haven't yet been able to drop in on them. I'm here in Maine with very limited access to the internet. And so it's hard for me to actually be as active as I would like to be this week. I'll be back in California next week and hope to be more active on responding to you on the discussion forums and also dropping in on some of the Talk About sessions. I had a message from one of the students in this class, a young woman. She is a senior in high school, and she wondered whether she could include the statement of accomplishment for this course, if and when she earns it, in her resume as she applies to go to university. And we said, of course, you certainly can include the statement of accomplishment for this course, which is a Stanford online course. It isn't the equivalent of a regular Stanford course. Frankly, I think it's more interesting and richer, actually, than an ordinary course at Stanford. But it's not specifically the equivalent, and you can't earn credits, formal credits at Stanford. But you certainly can list this on your resume as something you've done in background as you are moving forward and perhaps applying to go to college or university, as this young woman is. Another announcement I wanted to make was that and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when I last did a tea time, and that is that we're very much hoping to get a Spanish version up during the first week of October. We're still working on that and hoping that that will happen. So your friends in Latin America, let them know, or in Spain, let them know that that will be coming up the first week of October, and we hope that we'll have a good attendance for that. I think that's really all I have to say. I wanted to have you enjoy my view out here and wish you well. Excuse the spotty aspects of this tea time. As I said, I carried my computer down to the shore along with my teacup and my tea, and I'm a little bit, as we say sometimes in English, discombobulated, which means a little bit out of control of the situation. But thank you for attending the class. Thank you for participating. And I'll be in touch with you again in 10 days or so, a couple of weeks, maybe 10 days after I get back to California. Thanks very much. Bye.